YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and I am bringing you a High Elf Throwdown. Yes, this is Elf on Elf spicy action here on the Altdorf outskirts, and we're gonna see who the real High Elf champions are once and for, well, okay, maybe not once and for all, but certainly once, because we're watching a battle here, but probably not for all. So I'm playing as Alarielle, and my teammate is going to be playing as Imrik. And I'm lined up here. I've got a whole bunch of archer support, and I'll show you that. But as far as the heroes in this army, I've got Alarielle, the Radiant. She is supported by two Handmaidens, or Handmaiden of the Everqueen. Both of these units have their ability that helps buff reload speeds and missile damage, because I have brought a massive archer army along with a couple of Eagle Claw bolt throwers. So here's the two bolt throwers. I have a unit or two of just regular archers. I do have 4 Lothern Seaguard with shields. These are kind of my hybrid units to help support the flanks. Like, I want them to be archers, but I also want them to be a deterrent to anything less than extremely heavy cav or monsters, right? I do have 2 Sisters of Avalorn in the middle. I'm backing them up with some spearmen. And here's my other Handmaiden of the Everqueen. And then as for the infantry front, my teammate has brought several White Lions, and then we've got some spearmen flanking them, but the real meat of his army is 3 Dragon Princes being led by Imrik and a Noble on a chariot and supported by a Mage of Life. So we have a lot of healing, and Dragon Princes in an all-High Elf matchup are going to be a very powerful cavalry unit. They're going to be very, very good. So that is a very hard-hitting component he's got over there. Now, as for our opponents, there is another Alarielle on this side of the battlefield. I'll get to her in a minute, but we've got an Archmage of Metal here, which is an interesting pick for the High Elves. They can strip armor potentially, and they can use Final Transmutation and other spells. Let's see what we do have. Here's Final Transmutation, Glittering Robe, and we do have Plague of Rust as well as a Searing Doom. Plague of Rust can be extremely useful if you're using like standard archers. You can strip the armor off of a key unit and then hit them with standard archers and cause a ton of damage. And then we're going to have a Noble also on a Great Eagle supporting. And as far as the different units here, we'll just start hitting these. There's some Tyrannok Chariots out here. These are fun units to use. I do find that Tyrannok Chariots do have some limited uses where they're quite good. I don't know about an all-High Elf matchup, how good they are there. Not saying they aren't, I just haven't thought about that one a lot. But like, for instance, in the past, I've been able to use them to decent effect against Norska sometimes. They're not perfect, but they can be used for that. Then there's going to be some spearmen. They have their own Handmaiden of the Everqueen. They do have more Eagle Claw bolt throwers than us. They have 3 to our 2, which is going to be a bit problematic. There's some more spearmen here, yet more spearmen on the other side. And then here's Alarielle with 2 Flamespire Phoenix units. We did ban Arcane Phoenix units and Techless on his Phoenix mount. That was really the only specific rules going into this. There was absolutely no rule against Great Eagles or Flamespire or any of that other stuff. And then he's got some archers here to back that up, as well as some Dragon Princes that are hidden here. There is also more of a hidden component. Apologize for that. Allergies are going crazy here. We do have some Illyrian Reavers and some Illyrian Reaver archers hidden here in the woods as well for the red team. So let's hit play, and I'll let you all see how this one unfolds. At range, we're going to start taking a lot of damage. My team... as soon as I saw basically the 3 Eagle Claw bolt throwers on the other side, I was like, well, we're going to have to attack. They didn't have any units immediately ready to threaten our bolt throwers, and so I'm kind of okay just abandoning these things early and trying to close the distance. So, I mean, after these few initial volleys go, you're going to see us start pushing forward, but not even waiting on the initial volleys, Imrik is going to push forward with his Dragon Princes, and well, he should. There's very little from the other side that can challenge these units. And if he can go out and get some kills early, the forest will give him some cover. He's got some healing coming in. You can see here, I believe this was going to be a Final Transmutation. They expected those Dragon Princes to come in here and dropped it on the ground, but it didn't. So it's either a Final Transmutation or a Plague of Rust, one of the two, but that didn't end up having any effect at this point. So I do get a little bit of damage back on their bolt throwers, but you can see how quickly I'm losing the bolt thrower fight here. I've already lost 2 artillery pieces, and that's just going to get worse as time goes on. And you can see that some of their artillery is intentfully targeting our infantry. Now, Alarielle decides to kind of come in close to me, and I would actually be okay if she wants to dive down. I don't think it'd be a good move for her. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and start peppering her with some archer fire in order to try and get her attention, because she is kind of outside of a lot of support from other units in her army. You can see here the Dragon Princes are out looking for victims and trying hard to catch them. There are some Illyrian Reaver archers that are about to be caught. You can see here that Imrik and his Dragon Princes are looking to potentially charge down these spearmen. And meanwhile, you can see that Alarielle does go for my artillery. It was doomed anyway, and in the meantime, I'm getting attacked by a noble. But again, these units are kind of outside their support radius here, and I can keep Alarielle moving, and I have some tricks up my sleeve for these pursuers of Alarielle. So you can see here that he's going to start taking a lot of bow fire, and is going to get driven back. I do have the ability to drop the Vortex spell here. This is going to be a Tempest, and I can slow down all these movers. I am taking massive damage from the artillery, which does suck really bad right now. And of course, you can see these Illyrian Reaver archers are hoping to get into my Sisters of Avalorn, and they will. I'm going to have to protect them, so I didn't quite see these units coming out of the woods as all this was taking place. But the good news is the Archmage was damaged very badly in an attempt to get close to my army. We've done some damage to a second Alarielle here, though one of my handmaidens got mismicroed and is way back here at the back of the map. I must have clicked an order on it and totally forgot about it, so that was an accident on my part, and it's an accident that's going to cost me, and it's not great. Now, my teammate, I'm sitting here trying to fight off all these charges in the middle, and it's going to be ugly. I will be able to eventually push it back, but it is ugly, and I'm taking fire in the meantime. It's not a pretty situation. My teammate, however, is finding some good luck over here. He's crushed some Illyrian Reaver archers, and then he's using his Dragon Princes over here to cause even more trouble for the enemy spearmen, and he's been able to get some damage done on the Tyrannok chariots as well. And in the meantime, I'm just doing everything I can to stay alive in the middle and keep Alarielle alive. She still has a Star of Avalorn. She's going to be a very important character. She could help heal the cavalry late game if we needed it. There's a lot of things that she's going to be good for. There was a final transmutation dropped on all of my archers here by the Archmage attempting to get me out of the game. And you can see that I was almost able to get my handmaiden back to support, but not quite. However, this does ball all these units up and gives me a chance to shoot them. There is a Star of Avalorn coming in, but it wasn't enough to save the Archmetal, or the Mage, Archmage, Lore of Metal, Archmetal Mage. I used another Tempest here to slow down the Noble, and I'm able to keep Alarielle safe despite all the pressure. You can see, speaking of pressure, here comes the Dragon Princes, because as if I'm not under enough pressure already. Fortunately for me, though, a lot of my units on foot here are these Lothern Seaguard with shields, and they're units that are not easily bullied out of the fight by anything that our opponents have. And so the artillery for the enemy did cause a lot of damage to us. It gave us a lot of grief, but you can see my Dragon Prince armed teammate is now starting to cut through the flank, and if I can just survive a bit longer, and I darn near didn't here, I got charged by all kinds of enemies and barely managed to get away. I'm able to use my handmaiden, who does do some anti-large weapon damage, and then some archers to back her up here. And so even though we're being charged in the face again, Lothern Seaguard with shields going to be somewhat resistant to this. I have to use my own Star of Avalorn to kind of get Alarielle healed back up because I'd taken such a beating in that charge. But now my teammates' Dragon Princes have arrived, and so some of the pressure is going to start being pulled off of my archers. And although I have lost a good number, including a lot of my Sisters of Avalorn, I haven't lost them all. And the fact that some of them are still here are going to be able to help make a difference. Our opponents got balled up here, and now they're stuck in here in a fight with these Dragon Princes. I should have dove down here with Alarielle, but there are a lot of enemy units around, and so I was kind of playing a little safe. I decided to kind of dive down here at the very end, see if I could get some cheap shots in while they were trying to retreat, and hold them on the ground maybe for the Dragon Princes to finish. Meanwhile, my archers are able to help support each other, so see, like over here where the one Seaguard fights, I can fire in with the other. My Sisters of Avalorn are still being assailed, unfortunately, though one group is free, and I'm able to be putting some damage down in that fight. And Alarielle and her two Flamespire Phoenixes got pushed back. What's left of the White Lions were able to get in here and start getting the artillery because all the other units were otherwise engaged. And the Dragon Princes are now pressuring the archers that Alarielle has here. And so there's a lot of good things that are now happening, though there is still some enemy Dragon Princes. But Imrik has them in his sights, obviously. He's looking to go finish them. He will be great support to his own Dragon Princes. And at this point, my archers are finally getting freed up. And with my archers freed up, their ammunition can now be spent on some key remaining units. So Honestly, this fight looked really bad for me and my teammate early on, and now it's actually starting to turn the corner potentially. I've still got the Handmaiden, I've still got my archers. Over here, though, the enemy is using his Star of Avalorn to try and keep his units in the fight. You can see these Dragon Princes benefiting greatly from it, but they are overmatched. It can help hold momentarily, but it's not going to actually flip at this point because there's just not enough support. The archers, though, did manage to live, and they're going to do as much damage as they can to the Dragon Princes. But remember, these are not armor-piercing archers, and the Archmage, I'm just going to start calling it Archmetal, the Archmage, Lord Metal, Archmetal from here on out, was not able to help strip the armor off of these Dragon Princes, which would normally work very well to help those archers cause more damage. My troops finally cleaned up everything that was attacking them, and I'm able to move forward at this point, so you're going to see me push forward and start putting pressure on the final remaining enemy units. And at this point, my teammate, though, has really been the MVP here, in my opinion. I did manage to stay alive and cause some damage while kind of drawing the attention of a lot of the enemy flyers. But my teammate, I think, was really the clutch performer here in this play because he was able to use these Dragon Princes to get the damage done while I was being attacked. And because of his mobility, we were able to gain some advantage back. See here, I'm using another Tempest, and the Tempest going to be very useful for doing some damage and slowing down these flyers, especially now that they're going to be facing the whole army of archers. Now, they also had Tempest, and so I am, trying to get out of that as best I can, but not easy. But again, since I have the archer support, they can't really capitalize on this Tempest spell over here because my archers are going to be pouring fire into the enemy leadership. And the enemy Alarielle is getting close to routing, and her Phoenix units, though they might still be able to get a fire rebirth, at least for me, their healing cap is near. But at this point, army losses start to take hold because Imrik and his Dragon Princes have just relentlessly continued the attack, and my teammate and I are able to win the High Elf Throwdown. So there is one very important question here. Is Regina, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being that I'm not an elf at all, and 10 being that I'm the Phoenix King, how did I represent your High Elves in this battle? So we'll see if Regina wants to come answer that one. Thanks to RTK Valkanos for playing at my side there. He did a great job. I love the cavalry support. And then thanks to Griffin and Once Aspiring Amoeba for playing on the other side. Let's take a look through the stats real quick. Nothing super impressive on my side. I totally mismanaged this Handmaiden, so a huge mistake on my part. The pick of the Lathered Seaguard did end up being very important because it was just enough to keep my stuff from getting routed. If I would have picked archers that were less capable in melee, then it would have been bad. Now, I didn't get a lot of kills, and I didn't even pick up a Chevron on the Sisters. Not a great spend. They did do some damage. They weren't completely useless, but they were near useless. However, they kind of did serve some purpose, and at least that they drew in a lot of attacks from the enemy. And by drawing all those attacks into me, those attacks weren't focused against the Dragon Princes that were on my team, and those Dragon Princes ended up eventually kind of helping us win the battle, right? So I didn't really do anything amazing with them, but in the end, they served a purpose that worked out for us, is probably the way I should say it. So Valkanos did a good job. Did manage to get some kills with one of his White Lions, but it was really the cavalry doing the work, and you can see that Imrik was barely touched, and he had the Mage of Life along with him and a Noble, so he was well supported. Very tanky component that he has here, and a tough one indeed. The Griffin had some good artillery work here. He got a ton of kills with his own Dragon Princes. A lot of this was against my archers and infantry, so he did some solid work with these Dragon Princes. And then the artillery, of course, won the artillery fight. It was well done. And as his own Alarielle was, in that nice protection there from the Flame Spires, it did end up helping him overcome what I had there, but it was still a cool pick nonetheless, and I thought he did a good job with some of his units here. And Once Aspiring Amoeba, trying to keep that flank safe from Imrik, but you can see that just the units here were not able to hold out against all those Dragon Princes, and it wasn't able to work out in this case. But Amoeba did manage to get some kills with his Archmage. It was probably, I'm assuming, from the final transmutation, and then some attacks on some archers. So that was pretty well done. And the Tyrnok Chariots, look at this one, picked up a Chevron. I mean, like I said, Tyrnok Chariots are a weird unit. They have pretty solid missile damage. It's not armor piercing, but if you get them in the right fight, they can cause decent damage, and then they're viable against infantry later in a game. I mostly use units like this earlier on in a campaign But I'm not great at using them in multiplayer, but like I said, I have used them against Norska once to decent effect, just in order to keep skirmishing and stay ahead, and then use the chariots against the remaining Norscan infantry in the end. It kind of just depends on the situation. But anyway, thanks to all those who joined the stream and for the battles we played. I do have another one that I'll be bringing you soon, and I will be streaming again on Thursday, which I believe the date will be Thursday the 18th of September. It will be at 8 p.m. U.S. Central. I'll be streaming again if you want to come play some more battles with me, and we'll keep these coming. We'll have some fun. I do think I'm going to play some more multiplayer battle with the gun mod. I kind of want to do like a Napoleon battle inside of Warhammer with the gun mod from Sneck. I think it'd be a lot of fun, and should be fun to watch as well. Anyway, HeirofCarthage signing out for now. Hope you all enjoyed this one. I'll be back with some more action soon.